forth, so I thought I'd recap the facts that I know of as of today to the council, and at the end of my comments, ask for Tut and Chris Gill to come forward and give you their opinions. On April 30th, as you well know, the governor issued a state of emergency. And the important part is that it's April 30th, and that's what the document shows. Also, I put in this document that you can turn to that it states under the authority under declaration of emergency. Some people said that I have to declare, the body has to declare. The only one in the state of Alabama to declare a state of emergency is the governor or the legislative body. The mayor can only do so in the event of a riot or so forth, and it's very limited. On May 1st, we all started working to resolve a lot of the issues, and Unified Command is when we actually submitted our booming plan to Unified Command. And we were given approval. I talked to Phil Rivers myself on my cell phone a number of times, but we were given approval that they were going to implement it, and we weren't going to have to use any of the funds that BP was in the process of giving to us. And that's what this memo email, which is in your document, shows. Ken sent and got verification right there from Phil Woods, the Chief ADEM Officer at Unified Command. May 6th, the governor called for all the mayors, all the county commissioners, over to the Riverview Hotel, and he had a closed meeting, no press, nobody else allowed in the meeting. And what we discussed was the $25 million that was given to Alabama, how we should spend that money. It was decided in the meeting it would be split, $10 million to Mobile, $10 million to Baldwin County, and $5 million to stay with the governor. After that meeting, he said, we're going to meet again soon, probably on Saturday, and I need your numbers. May 6th, Baldwin County EMA called to inform the city that our disaster debris contract for this event was approved by the EMA Director of Alabama and BP. What's significant about that is we could have done like all the other mayors and county of amending their current contract to deal with the BP spending the monies. Yet this council did not go that direction. We actually bid it out. On May 7th, prior to the May 8th meeting, I called Senator Tripp Pittman, and I said, he being our emergency contract in place coordinator, I said I need an estimate of what it would cost to do the booming in the event that the city has to pay to do the work. On May 8th, I received an email from the Baldwin County EMA Director calling a meeting at 10 o'clock for all the mayors and the commissioners to be at her office on May 8th. Also that same day, the governor asked for the EMA directors of Mobile and Baldwin County to submit their plans to him at 12 o'clock. So you see how fast the timeline's going. I was over at a meeting. I had the estimate from the Tripp Pittman, and I was advised by the director that the request needs to come from the mayor. So I didn't have time to come back, find somebody on Saturday morning to type up anything. So I proceeded to ask the secretary who worked at EMA to draft a real simple letter asking for $650,000 for Fairhope. May 10th, made a report to the city council on what was going forward. In your own council meeting minutes, state right there, I spoke to Governor Riley, the booming on the eastern shore, and the boom would be deployed possibly by tomorrow. So there again, also went on to tell you that we were looking at $450,000 to $200,000, the same thing I asked for previously. Meeting with the Governor Riley, submitted the City of Fairhope grant to the state EMA director, and Baldwin EMA director confirms the boom pricing. If you'll read and up at the top, when the numbers were submitted to EMA, there's a little number at the top where Ken Veslava called or emailed the emergency manager director and said, was there any problems with what Fairhope has submitted? She said, no problems as far as she knew. May 17th, the city treasurer deposited in the bank $650,000. Fairhope City Council authorized to accept the $650,000. Also at that meeting, the mayor would call a meeting before spending any of the BP money. On May 28th, after 2 weeks of trying to get the boom deployed in the Fairhope and Point Clear area, I instructed staff to get competitive quotes. We received on May 31st a quote from Crowder Gulf. That's their quote. On June 1st, received Pittman Tractor and Sheen McKnight and Sons, bids from them. On June 2nd, All Recovery Company Incorporated. June 3rd, received an incomplete bid from IED Incorporated in response to the bid, so it wasn't considered for the council consideration. June 4th, after having all those prices, I called the council president and we called for an emergency session. I also had Tut Wynn present at that meeting. He took questions from the council, and he said everything the city was doing was correct and above law and followed all the laws of the state of Alabama. Back in December 14th with this, I put this in here because you know how people like to pick on political people, and I'm not taking up for or against whether the senator did anything wrong or right, but I will say staff sent an email to the league staff asking, can we do business with an elected senator of the state of Alabama? As you can quote, there is, Lisa, I don't know of anything that prohibits the municipality from doing business with a company owned by a state senator, barring any specific factors that may prevent a conflict of interest or some other problem. Therefore, we went forward. This is the resolution that the council told me to enact. On there is the question, and you can't see the number down at the bottom, but it'll come up again. You were authorized some $649,000 to be expended. June 23rd, there was a second grant requested. There was $3 million left over, and everybody south, and you know, we were in that debate, how to do some of the Montrose to the north, how to do Summit to the south, and other parts of Baldwin County. Ken Aslawa represented me at the meeting, and he divvied up the other $3 million, and Fairhope got an additional $500,000. July 6th, treasurer deposited that into our bank account. I put these numbers up here because as of December 31st, the balance in the bank is $433,281, and the total funds paid to Pittman Tractor was $639,126. Total authorized by the city council was $649,575. So you see, we follow that contract. At this time, I'd like Tut and Chris to come forward.
Mayor Kant stated we have reviewed a timeline of events, as the mayor just showed you, of what's happened with regard to these funds and this emergency situation. We've also looked at the state statutes that control emergency situations. And those statutes are located at section 31-9-1 of the Code of Alabama. And at 31-9-10, it does state that the city councils that have authority during these, once an emergency is declared, to waive procedures and formalities otherwise required by law pertaining to the performance of public work and entering into contracts, occurring obligations, and employing temporary workers and utilizing volunteer workers and doing a lot of other things. It gives a lot of powers to city councils and mayors and county officials in an emergency situation. The emergency situation was declared when this council acted on June 4th. It had been declared. The other thing I would like to say is that in reviewing this, it has become clear and apparent that the city went above and beyond its duties. Because as Mayor Kant told you, the city still asked for quotes and received quotes from other vendors. They didn't just take the first quote, the Pittman Tractor quote. After the Pittman Tractor quote was public knowledge for 2 or 3 weeks, public knowledge, the city went out and sought other quotes and received other quotes and considered those quotes. So I would submit, based on that, the city has gone above and beyond the legal requirements and tried to be as fair as possible given the emergency. And so I submit that what was done on June the 4th by the council and what was done leading up to that is all appropriate, proper, and as we said on June 4th at that meeting and in the minutes, I stick by that right now and repeat it. Everything's in order.
Thank you, Ted.
I don't
Yeah.
agree with all of his
Good.
conclusions.
Thank you.